Freedom's greetings, Helldivers. Ervin here, and today we're breaking down the Killzone collab gear for Helldivers 2. This collab leaked back with the Illuminate invasion, but understandably, I got a bit too busy to cover it. Now it's out with a second page promising to launch soon, alongside a new support weapon that'll become available following a future successful major order. So, today we're taking a deep look at the value of these new weapons as well as the new armor passive to determine if going in on this collab is worth your super credits, as well as how good this new gear is. We, of course, have to first talk about the controversy involved in the implementation of this collaboration. We've gotten the first page of gear added to the Superstore today, with another on its way, but the pricing for these new items is a mark higher than anything we've previously seen.
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby. Oh my goodness!
The STA-52 Liberator, STA-52 Assault Rifle, costing a whole $6 worth of super credits on its own, with the entire page costing close to 2,000 credits, enough for 2 full premium war bonds. Not to mention, those war bonds include about 300 super credits refunded through the tree themselves. Suffice to say, regardless of the farmability of super credits, there is no arguing that the value proposition for this new collaboration is far worse than anything previously seen in Helldivers. And to make matters worse, this gear will be around for a while, but will also fall into a rotation within the Superstore, meaning it carries some FOMO along with it, something that was promised to be non existent with Helldivers monetization via war bonds. And yes, while it is true you can and do farm super credits naturally over time, the average player not grinding specifically for super credits makes very few per hour, as they become not only more rare at higher difficulties, but more difficult to secure, punishing your credits per hour for wanting to play the game at a high difficulty. If you decide to hardcore farm for super credits, the best way for doing so is still playing very low difficulty missions and sprinting to points of interest before resetting and doing it again. Something that I originally thought was just an oversight and they would address eventually, but given how long this has been the case, it now feels as though farming super credits has been intentionally tedious to promote more sales. There are, of course, rumors of a new method of farming super credits that has been leaked and talked about since the addition of difficulty 10, but currently no official implementation or statements have been made on the intel missions or their rewards. Now, if you are looking to spend some time farming super credits for this new gear over opening your wallet, Clay Aesthetics has just released a video detailing the optimal way of farming for those credits, as well as samples and medals, giving you some great methods for achieving this goal. Even if it'll be remarkably tedious, it'll at least respect your time. A link to this video will be left in the description down below. That all being said, this is still far from the most offensive monetization when it comes to live service titles, and should the pricing and business strategy have looked like this from the beginning, it's likely no one would have said a word. I don't think Arrowhead is out of line per se with this new strategy involving collaboration gear, but I do find these new tactics to gross more income quite worrying for the future, especially considering the next page of the Killzone collaboration is likely to bring the total cost of this collab, should you buy everything, up to the original price of the game itself. That's enough about that, though. Let's talk about what you actually get for your credits. The STA-52 Assault Rifle is very functionally similar to the standard Liberator, with a unique appearance and firing sound. 70 damage, greater ammo capacity of 56, although with a very punishingly slow reload to compensate, with only 6 spare magazines, a higher recoil of 19 that seems to be mostly vertical and to the left when reviewing my testing, and a higher rate of fire of 79, which is greater than the Liberator, but less than the Carbine or the Tenderizer. All of these stats come together to form what you would expect, an extremely mediocre feeling assault rifle that feels like it lacks DPS, only dealing bursts of 921 damage per second, which, just for the sake of comparison, is 424 DPS behind the Tenderizer, without even cranking up the RPM on it. So, suffice to say, for a light penetrating assault rifle with nearly double the tenderizer's recoil, this thing is borderline worthless for 600 super credits. The armor is also, unfortunately, as you would guess, extremely due to the acclimated passive focusing on no particular strengths or weaknesses, on top of being medium armor, which again has no focus towards survivability or mobility. This suit fails to protect you significantly against all three of the elements currently in the game, and is fundamentally flawed due to the way our enemies, at least currently, are designed. There is no gas damage coming from our enemies, period, so the 50% resistance is a dead stat unless you yourself or your teammates are hitting you with gas. And gas damage is low enough, it's no threat to you as long as you stim. But high enough, especially with only 50% resistance, you would need to stim anyway to top back up, making this part of the passive virtually useless, leaving us with 50% fire resistance and arc resistance. Against the Illuminates, the 50% arc resistance is enough to save you against the Harvester's Lightning and the Tesla Towers outside their base, which is a positive. Technically, just surviving this damage is enough of a benefit that you don't necessarily need to run the arc resistant suits over it from cutting edge. But the benefit of being 50% fire resistant against the Illuminates is extremely narrow in scope, as the only time you'll be better off using this armor than the cutting edge arc armor is when you or your teammates are catching you on fire. And I really can't recommend using gear specifically to accommodate for user error in that department. If you take this armor against the automatons, it's a similar story. You'll be resistant to the Flame Hulk, but the arc resistant and gas resistance will only be valuable during moments of user error or friendly fire, raising the question as to why you wouldn't just simply wear fire resistant armor for a further 25% resistance. I can't really see much value in this passive that the armor provides, but if I were to say something nice about it, the armor does at least look pretty sick, and the Killzone aesthetic does work with the Helldivers universe. So at the very least, Arrowhead did keep their promise to keep collaborations in universe friendly as far as the aesthetics. And if you're a fashion diver that doesn't really care about your armor, well, I could see this one falling on your radar. Besides some other cosmetic pieces like the cape, helmet, banner, and title, which, to be fair, the title is pretty sick, we also have the WASP launcher, currently available as a free fifth stratagem when deploying to illuminate defenses. This backpack loaded launcher, which is the free stratagem associated with the collab that we'll be receiving permanently following a future major order success, is quite unique in design. It uses a target locking system very similar to the Spear launcher, and similar to the Spear, it has a minimum targeting distance of about 20 meters. Otherwise, the rockets fly off behind the target, missing almost always. So you need to maintain some distance when using this launcher, immediately making it a bit tougher to utilize against both the Terminids and Illuminates due to their high mobility and capability at breaching your personal space. That being said, the Swarm Launcher is a welcome addition to our arsenal, able to dish out huge bursts of explosive damage through its artillery mode, launching all 7 rockets at once, or firing one at a time at individual targets. As far as how effective this new support weapon is with its 4 available reloads, it's extremely good for one-shot killing medium enemies like Devastators and Illuminate Overseers, but it feels relatively ineffective at dealing with tank class enemies, without blowing through large portions of its ammo and leaving you feeling as though you'd have been better off bringing a true anti-tank launcher if that's what you intended to use it for. The reload is stationary and quite long, leaving you vulnerable, although it is performed in 2 stages, allowing you to cancel it slightly early and perform it over the course of 2 separate openings, depending on your situation. Damage wise, it seems to deal mostly explosive damage, which also explains why it's so ineffective against the tripod, as everything but its main body is entirely immune to explosions. Overall, as an Overseer answer, it's pretty solid, but beyond that, we'll have to wait for this weapon to be deployed in full to bring you more data on how it performs against the other factions. If you'd like to see a full breakdown on the WASP's capability and stats, be sure to let me know in the comments below and get this video above 3,000 likes so I know that you're interested. That just about does it for my coverage of the new Killzone Collab Part 1. Part 2 is dropping on the 23rd of this month, which is also when this page will be rotating out. We'll, of course, be covering the additional gear added in Part 2, but I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on the pricing and business strategy behind this collaboration, as it's certain to set a precedent for the future of Helldivers 2. Thank you to my coffee supporters who help keep the channel going, and thank you for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.
Urban area.
That's very impressive, isn't it? Holy shit.